A day in your toxic life. Now, I have wanted
Sounds like you're saying about me.
Well,
my
Steve-o,
toxic life.
I've always said that you were toxic.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that this is something I'm really looking forward to because there is so much around us, the world around us. You know, sort of David Attenborough, I can't do his accent. But in the world around us, in the current modern world, we are surrounded by toxins.
Yep.
We are surrounded by stuff that can make you sick. It is in your water. It is in, you know, your food. You can feel it when you go to church.
Yes.
You can feel it when you pay your taxes. No, do you remember that? That's from The Matrix.
Yeah, that's right.
But we are surrounded constantly by chemicals that we never had to be confronted with, 100 plus years ago.
Yeah.
It's, and I'm not saying that all inventions are bad. Of course not. I'm not saying that at all. But Steve, I tasked you, and you're very good at this.
Yeah.
From the moment that you wake up in the morning
Yeah.
to the time that your head hits the pillow at night, I wanted you to find the top 10.
Oh, yeah, I've got 10.
You got 10.
But there's sort of more than 10.
No, that's okay. We can do that. But I asked Steve to find the top 10 toxic things that you come into contact with every day that you don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give any spoils away. And I know that we sort of, I mentioned a few ones that you've kind of looked into, and I know that you've got some more as well too.
Yeah.
So Steve, how bad is it?
It's not good. I mean, you got to remember that there's things that are in our system and, as you said, in our environment, which we can't avoid. Like you remember the old days of naturopathic, we'd go away and do a detox or whatever, and you'd fast and all this sort of stuff just to detoxify yourself. Detoxification's still good, but now we know that there's so many more toxins since I graduated in 97. For example, this one.
Yeah, right, the phone.
Yeah, that wasn't around in 1997.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was. I didn't have one. Probably was around.
I did, but it wasn't a smartphone. It was an analog.
Oh,
but anyway, let's put that to the side.
All right.
Wake up in the morning, Steve.
All right. The first thing you do is you turn your alarm off on your phone that's been sitting beside your head all night. Sometimes.
That's true.
So that's.
So what are we talking about? The proximity of your phone?
Well, most it's got every phone's got an alarm on it.
Can I put it out there for someone? There's a great book called Radiation Nation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you want to read it, there's a guy there who's actually done a lot of research and a lot of study, and he speaks about the proximity of your phone to your body, having it on your body, Steve. And I know that there have been cases put forward of people, developing all sorts of diseases. I'm not going to mention what they are, from having proximity, to your body. People putting their phones inside their bras, people putting their phones inside their undies, or against their skin tights, against their body, having all sorts of issues there. For every foot, and I think this is in Radiation Nation, I think he talks about this, for every foot of distance between you and the device, it halves the amount of radiation that you receive.
Be about right. But here's the scary thing. Let's say you put it beside your bedside table at night. That's for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And it's very close to your head.
Yep.
Worst case scenario.
Sure.
I mean, people might say, no, I put mine on the dresser table over there, and then my alarm goes off. That's fine, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Now, we should talk about the electromagnetic radiation spectrum, because it's a bit tricky. But basically, if you think of light, we can see that part of the electromagnetic radiation spectrum. Okay, it's the visible light.
We can't see infrared?
No, infrared is the lower frequencies.
Ultraviolet?
And ultraviolet is the higher frequencies from light. The higher frequencies from light, including ultraviolet, can be dangerous or are dangerous.
Sure.
They're called ionizing radiation. That's the bad stuff. Anything below that was considered safe. Now, phones are below that. So it was considered safe, because you got to remember, when they tested all this stuff, you were using CBs at a 27 megahertz, which is down the other end of the table, low frequencies. They didn't have ultra high frequencies. Well, these are microwave radiation. That's what they're called, microwaves. They're very short waves.
Right.
And that is now pumping into our heads. Like, it sounds dramatic, but if you're sleeping with it beside your head and you're talking on the phone during the day, it's beside your head most of the day, isn't it?
Sure.
It's just some people.
Sure. Oh, it's sitting on your table next to you. Oftentimes it's in your pocket.
Yep.
Now, my understanding is as well too, is that the weaker the signal, the more dangerous that it is, because it's having to amplify or try to up the signal.
Sorry, yeah. The further you are from the towers, absolutely.
So therefore, if you look at your phone and it's got very low bars, and you're sitting with it there, it's going, and the radio tower's on the other side, that's having to travel through your head.
Of course it is.
So what is the concern, Steve? I mean, obviously a lot of people say, there's nothing to be worried about. But I think there's a cause, there's some tinfoil hat wearing people out there, Steve, that are very concerned. What's your consensus? What's your understanding based on the research?
Well, we'll just look at the research from
Let's just look at the research.
Yeah, the PLS one.
We'll stay away from the opinion because I think this can get controversial.
My opinion is a bit controversial.
Sure.
But basically, this is new to nature.
Sure.
This is like a new to nature thing.
Yeah.
For the human species. So there's a lot.
Not just humans. What about microorganisms? What about insects? What about bugs? What about birds? What about bees? What about all these things that are swimming around in this toxic soup? They're tiny little bodies.
I know.
We don't know
Poor
what
bugs.
eventually it can have, right? We don't know.
No.
We don't know.
Well, we know gamma radiation is great for sterilizing.
It makes you into the Hulk, doesn't it?
Is that gamma rays that got him green?
Gamma?
I think it was gamma rays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's also
and this is the other thing that the mainstream does. And now I'm going to go to the far end of they don't worry, you'll just turn into a superhero. It's like the Toxic Avenger, It was the thing that popping out his head, Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes. See, only good things happen. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah.
Don't worry about chemicals and runoff and toxic sludge. You just become powerful.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with radiation at all. But here's the funny thing. Now, a certain amount of radiation is fine because there is a thing in the universe called the universal background microwave radiation.
Sure.
Which was discovered in the 60s. You got to pull up a photo of this receptor.
Doesn't it resonate at the same as the body? Don't we have our what do they call it, an innate frequency?
Yeah, well, the innate frequency of water molecules is in the gigahertz, so it's in the same, very similar frequencies to the foam, which is why you get a hot head.
Sure.
It just vibrates the water molecules in your head a bit. I know it doesn't sound
just cooks them a little bit.
Cooks them. Well, a microwave is literally vibrating water molecules.
Sure.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So we do have a little bit amount of background.
But nothing can go wrong with that, Steve. Because the government told us.
The government told us. The government discovered in like the 50s and they had this amazing receptor thing that they found. That thing. See the big ear thing over there?
Yeah.
That was it. So like this thing. Yeah, that thing.
Right.
That was when they
cool.
discovered background radiation because the Big Bang means that you must have this radiation left over when you make.
Let there be light. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they had to detect it, and that was it, the horn antenna. And so they made this thing. And what they did was they looked for radiation, microwave background radiation. Yeah. And it was as soon as they turned the thing on, there was this background radiation there, and they thought it was pigeons in there. They scared the pigeons out, and it was still there. No matter which way they pointed it, it's still there. Because, and of course, this is like, wow, so there is background radiation across the spectrum.
Right.
So a little bit of radiation, fine. But this is a completely new thing, really. This, as far as, it's only 40 years we've been using mobile phones quite extensively, I think it's safe to say.
Yep.
So it's very new. So this big PLS study, massive PLS1 study, systemic review of the physiological and health-related effects, and they looked at all these studies, 20 years of data, 42 epidemiological and 11 experimental studies, and you know what they found?
What?
They couldn't form a conclusion.
Oh, wow.
They don't know.
Okay.
They don't know what it does. Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting.
It's like overall, the body of evidence allows no final conclusion in the question whether exposure to radio frequency, electromagnetic frequencies from mobile communications have risks. There's just no data. So what they said was they strongly recommend high-quality systemic research on children adolescents since they generally considered more sensitive age groups.
Well, I mean, again,
it's like, don't know.
I'd say, has there been any change to humanity over the past, 20 years in terms of certain disease states and things like that? Now, correlation and causation are two different things. We always say that. And that's where we say, okay, is there something worth? No, if nothing, well, then let's not worry about it.
Yeah.
But is there a rise in certain types of cancers?
Yeah.
Is there a rise in certain disorders?
Yeah.
If there is, okay, why? Yeah. There must be a reason. Better detecting. We know now, so more people have got ADHD. I'm not suggesting for 1 second, by the way. I'm just trying to point to a sort of, how would you say, a theory that can be proven or disproven.
Correct.
But one of the things I will say about radiation, specifically the rise of 4G, 5G, and all the rest of it, is that for the past 20 years, Steve, it hasn't remained constant.
No.
We are living in I think for the most part, denser community spaces.
Yep.
I think there are more radio frequency towers, and the type of frequency has changed. So 4G is different from 5G. Significantly
it's
changed.
much higher frequency.
So therefore, it's difficult because you don't have a continuation of the same inputs.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
And 5G's been around a few years. Why wasn't that tested on? It's like you can't test that on people.
But this is the thing, Steve, is that there's a lot of stuff that's happening at the moment that's just like, to hell with the potential side effects. We're doing it, and you'll get on board. And if you don't like it, you can wind up in prison.
Well, here's a question for you. Let's say I had made up this weird drink, okay, and you said, "Oh, is it safe?" And I said, "I don't know, but take it anyway." You wouldn't. But with radiation, we don't know if it's safe or not. I mean, there's questions that there's some studies say yes, some say no. There's no consensus on it.
All right.
One of the toxic thing about phones is that if you're on the phone, like let's say you're an adolescent or a kid, you're not out there playing.
Yep.
You're not actually doing the things that make you healthy.
Yep.
So that's one thing.
Steve-o.
Yes.
Do you know what I love about as soon as we hit like literally the day after Boxing Day going into the shops?
What's that?
It's time for Easter. Have you know hot cross buns and Easter bunnies everywhere? I mean, it's like 1,000 years before Easter comes. Like there's Easter stuff, right? Well, I'm jumping on the bandwagon.
We're going to eat chocolate, can't we?
Well, we can. And one of the funny things is that people often say coming into Easter, what I notice, and I've noticed in the industry for a very long time, is a couple of things happen.
Yes.
First thing is sales normally go down.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because the weather turns cold.
Yep.
Easter bunny comes out.
Yep.
People scarf down the Easter eggs.
Yep.
They feel bad. They stop going to the gym.
That's a problem.
It is.
Well, how do we eat chocolate, though? We've got to eat chocolate.
Steve, I think we've got to find what I call replacement therapy.
Okay.
So what I mean by that, and I'm saying it a bit tongue-in-cheek,
Yeah.
the worst thing that you can do is see everybody around you having fun, skipping through the aisles with, Easter eggs and laughing and looking at you, and you're just sitting there miserable because you don't get your chocolate.
Yes,
you're not getting your chocolate fix. You're not having anything fun to eat. But we have provided a solution.
What is it? Tell me.
That is our marshmallow bars and our jelly bars.
Yes.
And the king of the Easter time supplements is our hot chocolate. Now, I believe we've got a limited time release of a salted caramel hot chocolate coming this Easter as well too. Now, don't shoot me because I don't know exactly when it's coming, but it's been reformulated.
Yep.
It's not quite as sweet because the other people were finding it was way too sweet. So that's coming. So keep an eye out for that. But my favorite product is the hot chocolate because you're getting good quality collagen. You're getting a little bit of chocolate in there. You can mix it up. You can have it hot at night. You can have your cocoa on the Google. No, I don't know even why I said that. That was Mrs. Euphrogynian Doubtfire, love it, right? So you can have something nice while everyone's sucking down their chocolate, getting fat.
Yep.
You can have your hot chocolate. You can get your no-whey protein in there. You can feel fit, fantastic, look after the sweet taste buds, and you get a nice dose of magnesium, so you'll be dropping off going sleepy bobos in no time.
The magnesium glycine too. So beautiful.
You don't need to miss out. So guys, seriously, in all seriousness, obviously, if you're coming up to Easter, you don't want to blow the diet, but you're looking for something that's nice and tasty. Consider the No Way hot chocolate, potentially the new No Way hot chocolate caramel as well too, as well as maybe some of our marshmallow bars as well. So anyway, happy Easter, everyone, and hop into the store and get some today. Oh, that's terrible.
That's great.
Honey.
So forget the phone for a sec. Let's say you get up and you want to look beautiful for the day. Let's say you want to put some, cream on your face.
Some rouge.
Yeah, you put some rouge, or you put some, facial scrub, or whatever you do.
Yeah.
Let's say you put that on. They actually looked at the content of microplastics, okay, which are things that are found in some cosmetics.
Right.
Guess what?
I thought it was beads in shower gels.
There is beads in shower gels.
Well, they've been outlawed in Australia, and I really agree with this. This is fantastic. This is actually where I actually have to praise the government and go, good on you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's say you put a cream on your face. Guess how many of them were found to contain microplastics? Was it the microplastics? So really, you can't see them. They're just microscopic plastics, which can be absorbed. Yeah,
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
I know. Guess how, and this is from the Plastic Soup Foundation. which tested these things. Amazing.
Who's the Plastic Soup Foundation?
It's a foundation from new research from the
Okay.
So what they did was they actually looked at them, and was it 2%, 5%, or 87% had microplastic.
87%?
Oh, mate. 87% of these had microplastics. So it's a
Holy
contaminant.
cow. Hang on, wait. So not only are they plastics, but they're in micro sizing, which
yeah,
means that could they possibly get through the skin?
They can possibly get through this. Oh, I know. I know, it's nuts, isn't it?
Anyway, so you got these microplastics in your cosmetics, like in your moisturizer.
Yeah.
What for?
Body wash, face washes, shampoos,
But
conditioners,
why?
exfoliants.
Why?
Oh, they're contaminants.
But yeah, I know they're contaminants.
Because plastics just strew out remember, that takes years to break down. They're just found
but
through.
why are they putting it in there, Steve?
Well, they're not putting it in there. They're just in there from the raw materials that they use. It's just
Get
everywhere.
out.
I know. It's nuts, isn't it? You don't put microplastics in something, especially creams. But isn't that amazing?
Well, this is, and again, what you're talking about.
This is toxic. Yeah.
There's a follow-on podcast from this one that we're going to do, because we're going to try and put it together, which is the impact of fertility in men and women, specifically looking at estrogen and testosterone, and what is happening and why we as humans are going haywire.
Yeah.
And this is a big part of it: xenoestrogens, plastics. So, Steve, 87%.
It was published in Plastics, The Hidden Beauty. That's a report, if you want to look it up, from the Plastic Soup Foundation. So there you go. I know.
That's a cool name for
it was quite funny. Yeah. So very interesting. But
okay, well, Steve, based on that, what is that doing? What is this doing? What's happening? If you're getting plastics into your body, what's going to happen?
It's an endocrine disruptor. It's the main form.
Endocrine disrupting
disrupts your hormones.
Typically stuff that can cause the big C.
Hormone,
Cancer?
Big C.
Yeah. What else?
Yeah, absolutely.
Autoimmune diseases?
It disrupts your whole immune system.
Endocrine disrupting hormone is what Agent Orange was called.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the very, very bad big end of town. Now, the difference between Agent Orange and someone putting on a moisturizer on their face is the amount of exposure.
Exactly.
But
it's crazy,
prolonged
isn't it?
periods of time, do we understand, is there any consensus on how bad this is?
No, because
you
don't give someone microplastics and test the effects, because that'd be unethical. It's a toxin.
So
you just don't know.
So okay, let's go back to the number one.
Yeah.
We don't know about the impact that your phone has next to your bed at night.
No.
But I would highly recommend that you put it onto. Now, does putting it onto
flight mode
help?
Yes, it does, because it stops the phone looking for towers and sending out signals.
Okay. Is that better than putting it at the base of your bed?
Yes, because it deactivates it into a non-radiating substance. That's why you're on a plane, it won't stuff up the plane. I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't know any plane that's ever crashed from having it, because I've done it on purpose. I
think I might have done it, but I'm not going to say.
This plane down.
I'm not going to say on camera that I've ever used.
Otherwise, the terrorists would be going, "Hang on a minute, he's got a phone."
Yeah.
Hang on, with the hand cream and scissors and all.
My nephew's a commercial pilot now in America.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him: does it matter? Does the plane crash if you have your table down? You know how they?
No, that's to save you if you happen to go forward, right? But like putting your phone off flight mode, you see your mate, what happens if 10 terrorists got together and then you see them plotting? Take it off flight mode, right? Okay, so put your phone on flight mode.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the best thing you can do.
Absolutely.
Well, the best thing is to not have a phone next to you.
Correct.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right? But okay, that's good.
That's good.
Would you sleep with a flight mode next to your bed?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's
turned off.
Yeah, as long as it's face down, so you don't get someone says a message through and it lights it up, and you don't want that.
No,
that's another toxin we'll talk about later.
Right. So the other thing then so do that.
Yeah.
For 2, look for natural organic.
Creams. Or ask yourself if you have to use this stuff, because there's something else in cream that is put in there on purpose. It's worse. Lanolin's from that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking
long chain hydrocarbons.
Even our video guy would know this chemical.
Is your name Lanolin? Is that sheep's wool? Sorry. Do you know what that's from?
No, I don't.
Anchorman.
Floods? Oh, right. Okay.
You don't. Oh my god. What? We'll fight after this. Meet you down at the bike sheds.
Okay. How do you stop creams from going off? You put a preservative in them, right?
Right.
Yeah. Guess what preservative they use in a lot of shampoos?
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Now,
Do you know why? Because it's cheap and it will
cheap.
kill you. Yeah.
They've actually determined that if you have I can't believe 0.2% is considered, that's okay, that's safe. As long as it's not contacted, your shampoo or your detergent is not near hot water.
Oh, come on.
Because that's when it becomes volatile. Because, it evaporates at a lower temperature, like about 60
So
degrees.
what happens to low? Because obviously none of this stuff's acute. Like people aren't dropping dead in the shower.
they're not.
People aren't putting on their moisturizer and then falling over. So what is the chronic exposure? What is the long-term side effects?
Cancer. Yeah, it destroys your cells. This stuff kills bugs galore. And you might go, oh, that's good. But you've got a skin biome. You've got things that are supposed to be living on your skin, and they protect you from certain things. Also, when you inhale this stuff, and believe it or not, you do breathe when you're in the shower, and you're putting hot water on your head and with shampoo, don't you? It's like, look at my hair. It's shit. It's short. I use soap because I don't want to use detergents.
Like,
and remember, I was a detergent. Yeah,
Tallow.
I was a detergents chemist for 4 years.
Yes, I know you were.
It's the most boring part of my life.
Yeah, but mind you, set you up for what you believe now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because and I worked in a lab, and we used to test for formaldehyde levels in stuff. And we knew how dangerous this stuff was. I was 18 when I started working in a lab. I wasn't scared of anything. I was 18. I was a male. We used to spill shit on the floor and didn't care. We'd use chloroform and formaldehyde, the solvents. Yeah, we were careful, but if spilt on you, so what? I used to have a game with the other lab tech then. You put a drop of hydrochloric acid on your skin, and the last one to put it under the tap would win.
Oh, my.
That's stupid, idiots.
Yeah.
We should do a podcast on how stupid men are.
Yep.
And
Oh, I don't think you're telling anybody anything new.
No.
Yeah.
But certainly formaldehyde's in, and let's say you wash your dishes in hot water. Do people ever do that? It goes whoosh, and there is in the detergent I developed, we put formaldehyde in there. It was very common. Great preservative.
What? Right, to preserve it so it wouldn't go off.
Yeah, with no bugs will grow in it. Wow. Nothing will grow in it.
All right. So that's three down.
Okay. So let's say you've had your shower, you come out of the shower, you brush your teeth, don't you?
Yes. Yes. What's in our toothpaste?
Well, there's a few things.
Okay.
There's soaps. You know that, don't you? Have you ever seen it foam up?
Sodium lauryl sulfate?
Yeah, sodium lauryl sulfate.
Yeah. What is that exactly?
Oh, it's a surfactant. Now, a surfactant is a way, say this is a molecule, and this is my drink bottle for those who are listening, and at one end it's different to the other. Okay,
Yep.
It's got a white cap, and it's got this is you can attach a surfactant to fat and to water.
Right.
So it gets the toxin fat soluble stuff. Think of it as a detergent, and it can be rinsed down the sink.
Yeah, right.
And that's what it does. It cleans. Any cleaning agents usually have surfactants in it.
Yeah.
The surfactant in Morning Fresh one I used to develop was diadosyl benzyl sulfonic acid.
Sounds healthy.
Yeah, it's super healthy. It's a real bad.
Wow.
It's a surfactant.
Yeah.
So if you're getting them on your skin, you're stripping all the oils out of your skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be careful using dishwashing liquid.
Yeah. So you're brushing your teeth with this?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it cleans your teeth. But there's one ad.
Oh, but they say nobody swallows toothpaste. It's all spit out. And it certainly doesn't coat your oral cavity and you then eat or drink or swallow things through the day.
Yeah, I know. And it's got something else in it too, which starts with F and ends in uride. I don't know if we're allowed to say. Are we allowed to talk about this one?
Yeah, I think we're
all right.
Yep.
All right. Because there was a study recently done on the toxicity of fluoride.
But hang on. Can I just interject here?
Sure.
Not all fluoride's fluoride.
No.
And that's the big point.
Sodium fluoride, aluminium fluoride, all the other fluorides.
And what's the stuff they put in the aluminium fluoride?
That's in the water.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And now I was going to get to that because when you're brushing your teeth, you're using two types of fluoride.
Yes.
All right. So aluminium fluoride. And what's this fluoride?
This sodium fluoride is the one that's usually in toothpaste.
Toothpaste, okay.
Yeah.
And what's natural fluoride? What's the fluoride we need for our teeth?
Oh, sodium fluoride.
That's sodium fluoride.
Because sodium is a water. All fluorides are water soluble.
Yep.
So you put sodium fluoride in water or liquid, it disperses into fluoride negative ion, sodium positive ion.
So we need that though, right?
For your enamel of your teeth, as when you're young, you do.
Yeah.
As you're old, it's
not really needed.
Yeah, you don't need it in your body.
Right.
There's a certain toxicity level in your body.
So how do we get fluoride when you're young?
Yeah.
and you got your baby teeth coming through, and you're getting your big teeth. How do we, and how does in nature, how do we get fluoride?
Well, there's foods that have fluoride in it.
Okay, like what?
Most plants, because it's grown in the soil. Anything grown in the soil.
Okay,
so it's a natural form, and that's what we've been in for years. So it's fine. The only problem with adding it to toothpaste is how much toothpaste do you use?
I don't know, but like the size of a pea, I guess.
That's what you're supposed to use. But kids, they have those long toothbrushes and they line it across the top and scoop it back. Yeah, it's completely unregular. There's not like a dispenser for it. It's just how much you squeeze out.
Right.
And let's say you're a kid and you're brushing your teeth and you don't rinse afterwards. It's
swallow it.
You swallow it.
Yeah.
I used to swallow my toothpaste.
Yeah.
It tasted good. It's like, and that can be toxic. And there was a step, and I've got another one of these meta-analysis here. And what they did was they looked at 23 studies and they evaluated how much fluoride, because fluoride, if it's too much, is a neurotoxin. Okay?
Neurotoxin.
That's not me saying that.
Yep.
That's just if you have too much of it. It's dose dependent.
Yep.
And they found that 21 out of the 23 epidemiological studies reported an association between high fluoride intake and reduced intelligence.
Yeah.
So it's pretty...
It's a pro-oxidant, isn't it?
Yes, pro-oxidant.
My understanding is as well, too, it can create hardening in the brain.
Yeah.
Hardening of the... Pituitary.
Oh, pineal gland.
Pineal gland.
Yeah, pineal gland.
Which is the one that looks like a pine cone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the one that helps you sleep, too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not a body... It's not a chemical that you want to mess around with.
Too much fluoride as well, too, can create pitting, Steve. Have you heard of this?
On your enamel, the picture enamel.
You'll see many of the areas where there's high amounts of fluoride in the water, is they have a higher instance of pitting.
Yeah.
You also see white marks, brittle teeth as well too. Yep. It's like anything. Too much of a good thing can be harmful.
Absolutely. It follows the doctrine. It follows homeopathy, which means if something can cause something, something can cure something.
Yeah.
So if it causes brittle teeth, if too much, you bit a little bit and it should help your teeth.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it's all about...
overdosing, right?
Yeah. It's all about dose dependent.
Yeah.
Now, here's the scary thing. How much water do you drink a day?
I only drink purified water from springs, Steve.
Yeah,
I get mine from... And this is a big one for me. One of the things I'm I was going to say, I keep going to say anal, but one of the things that I'm really pedantic about is the quality of water that I get. Yeah. So I only drink water from Tambourine Mountain, and it's a natural spring water.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So just be careful about that, because most people drink it out of a sink.
Sure, out of tap. A faucet, as Americans say.
Yeah. And people don't regulate how much water they drink. Just drink whatever.
Sure.
2 or 3 litres a day, whatever. It doesn't, really... it's not regulated. It's not like a drug or anything, but it should be treated as such.
So you brush your teeth, you get fluoride. So have a look for toothpaste that don't contain fluoride.
Yeah.
That would be the first one. And don't have sodium lauryl sulfate.
No, so that's detergent.
And again, you can get natural, we use them all the time. There's about half a dozen that Tony gets, And then don't use water to brush your teeth, or certainly not to drink. So after you finish it, don't go and have a drink. Use purified water, or what's even better is spring water.
Yeah.
Because it's natural.
Exactly.
It's got all the minerals in it. It's got everything that you need.
Yeah.
It doesn't have all the stuff that you don't need.
Yeah. So the weird thing about fluoride is it's in group 7 of the periodic table. Now, other chemicals in there are things like iodine, which is very beneficial for humans. Yeah. So they kind of compete with each other if they're in the same group.
Right.
Yeah.
So this can cause issues with the thyroid.
All right. This is not concerning us, but let's say you get up in the morning and you change your feminine hygiene product.
Wow. I've heard some scary things about this.
Oh, yeah. Be scared.
So...
but yeah, what this study found was that they looked at to see if they had now they group these chemicals into volatile organic chemicals, right?
Yeah.
Volatile means it can be given off into the body.
Sure.
So what they did was they looked at these and they said, are there any of these in these products that women are inserting into themselves, into membranes, which means it can be absorbed.
Sure.
So not really good. Now, what they found was that you've only got to have a certain amount, like up to 100 nanograms per gram, for it to be even considered safe. Some of these products, you ready for this one? 25,000 to 34,000 nanograms per gram.
Wow.
I know.
So what is the conclusion that this thing could create in the body, Steve?
Oh, bad diseases. Because one of the ones they tested for was benzene, which is a known carcinogen.
So these are in your everyday women's hygiene products. Why do they put them in there?
Guess what percentage?
100%.
83%.
Oh.
That's shocking.
That's good. So the 17% they're out there. Oh, the 17% would be natural ones.
No.
Oh.
Products labelled organic, natural, and for sensitive skin did not necessarily have lower VOC or volatile organic chemicals.
Oh, my.
Like that.
That's
For
because
most
they've got a
feminine
couple.
hygiene product, calculated risks were low. However, menstrual pads had a hazard ratio of up to 11. In other words, it was 11 times worse. So, holy mackerel, poor women.
So what do you use then, Steve?
Well, this is a whole tricky one. You have to get one that's probably been tested for these things. I have no idea what women
Tony
do.
uses a natural one that you looked into. I cannot remember. I can picture the box and all the rest of it. Very plain looking. But again, I think, she just gets them from on an organic store online. And again, actually the company spoke about what it does and what it doesn't do in the products.
It gets worse for women. I know. Because they're the ones that typically use, they're the ones that typically use baby powder.
Talcum powder. Johnson & Johnson. Don't tell me that they would do anything evil.
Well, unfortunately.
What does it tell me? Talcum powder. What is talcum powder anyway, Steve?
Well, talcum powder is mined, and it's just it's an inert mineral that they say is from found in the soil, so you can get that. So but have a listen to the title of this study. You're gonna love this one. Talc, body powder, and ovarian cancer.
Oh, wow.
Summary of the epidemiological evidence.
So, what is talcum powder used for?
Also, for all sorts of things, for drying off after a shower or for making babies smell better, getting rid of rashes under your boobies. Can we say boobies?
I like
that sort of stuff. But people use talc powder for everything.
Do you?
I don't.
Because I've never
used it in my life.
So you could put it in your ass crack to stop getting...
That's where most people use it, in their genitalia area.
but no, there's an entry point there.
Yep.
I mean, most of the time it's an excellent point, but I mean, if you're putting creams there, by the way, you've got to be careful about how you say that, but things can get in there. Things can get in there, but they can.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're using talcum powder, especially on little babies, I mean, it's not good. So what chemicals are in the talc, Steve, and how does it work?
It's an organic mineral, but what they find is that, and you're going to love this, this is going to trigger you. It says, due to its similarity and co-occurrence with asbestos, the association of body powder, talc, used and gynecological risk cancers is a subject of interest.
My understanding is that Johnson & Johnson actually got sued massively for their talcum powder. And I think they got sued quite a lot of millions, if not millions of dollars.
The increased risk is...
Can you look at that, Matt? Did Johnson & Johnson sued over talcum powder?
The increased risk of cancer is 24 to 35% for ovarian cancer. Now, ovarian cancer is a pretty bad one.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
It's a shocker. So that's really, really bad.
Okay. So Johnson & Johnson ordered to pay $6.32 billion in talcum powder to 9,000 women who claim its talcum powder contributed to their ovarian cancer.
Oh, there you go.
So it was
that's
proven.
public. Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Yeah.
6.3 billion.
Wow. Jeez, that's bad.
Johnson & Johnson knew... Can you go down to Reuters? So Reuters here, Johnson & Johnson knew for decades that asbestos lurked in its baby powder, alleging poisonous talc in the company's beloved product was her killer. Holy cow.
Yeah. Isn't that scary?
So in 4th of February 2023, thousands of lawsuits alleged that Johnson & Johnson's talc-based baby powder caused cancer. So women suing Johnson & Johnson await their day in court after the company failed to get talc cases moved to bankruptcy court.
Wow. This does
Thousands of lawsuits allege Johnson & Johnson's talc-based baby powder caused cancer. The company's attempt to move those suits to the bankruptcy court has been rejected.
Ooh, they're in big poop now.
So scary. All right, so far we're getting up. We're keeping our phone on flight mode.
Yep.
We're not using anything with microplastics in it.
Correct.
We're not using anything with sodium lauryl sulfate to brush our teeth or on our shampoos.
Yep, or formaldehyde in our shampoos.
Or formaldehyde on our shampoos, which shouldn't be around that. We haven't even got out of the bedroom yet. We haven't got out of the bathroom yet.
No.
We're not using talc powder, and we're not using women's products that contain...
Well, any of the volatile organic chemicals or VOCs.
So you have to really search that one out.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the brand. But yeah,
can we at least make it to the breakfast table?
Let's draw a line in the sand and say that if we don't die before we make it downstairs. All right, let's go down.
Okay, so let's say you have breakfast. Let's say you're going to have a healthy omelette with vegetables in it.
Yeah,
you're all good for that.
I am.
You're in trouble then.
Oh, geez,
because you're going to be consuming perfluorooctanic acid.
What is that?
That's the stuff that is in Teflon.
Oh, Teflon! Yeah, I was going to say, hang on a minute. I eat organic eggs.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting there going, hang on, what am I missing?
You're
Teflon
gone.
was discovered by accident in the space program, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
it was discovered. When was it, Steve? Was it back in the 50s or 60s?
Oh yeah, it was a bit in the 50s or 60s. I didn't have a look at that.
So what is this stuff, Steve? I mean, we know that it's non-stick fry pans. Now, Tony recently, and when I say recently, she's moved to all cast iron fry pans. So we don't actually have any Teflon. Oh, here we go.
Oh my God.
1938. The Teflon story began on April the 6th, 1938. Dr. Roy Plunkett was working with gases related to refrigerants.
Wow.
Huh.
There you go.
1938.
There you go. Oh. 1938. Now, because it has the F in the title, the fluoride, that's very dangerous for your thyroid. And what they find is that...
Fluoropolymers.
Yeah. So what they find is that stuffs up your thyroid. When we talked about it, because fluoride's in the same thing as iodine. And the conclusion of this study was higher concentrations of PFOA was associated with current thyroid disease in the US general population.
Wow.
So it stuffs your thyroid, all sorts of diseases. Yes, cancer.
So obviously when you're cooking with it, it gets in. Because there was a big court case, I think, on this. Can you look up court case against Teflon? Because I have a feeling that they absolutely argued that it does not break down and it does not release with heat.
Wow.
Go and read it out, Steve.
No, it does. It does. It gets into the body.
Yeah.
And another study says that it stuffs your fertility as well.
Okay. Reuters, a federal appeals court has upheld a $40 million verdict for a cancer survivor who sued DuPont and Co. after years of exposure to a toxic chemical that it manufactured. Wow.
Nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gets worse for this guy.
Why?
Well, it stuffs up her fertility.
Yeah, right.
Stuffs really. Another study.
How many things are stuffing up the fertility, though? I mean, it seems like there's a coordinated attack against fertility, right?
Yeah, well, this is one of them. And the scary thing is that this, I mean, you got to remember that you could be eating the most healthy vegetable-y
Absolutely.
thing. I'm not, but if you're having a lot of this stuff.
And carcinogens almost.
And you could possibly use a frying pan twice a day.
Oh, yeah.
You could cook your...
Well, I'm just going to have to move over to the microwave, Steve. I've got a solution for that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use the frying pan. I'm going to cook it up and I'm just going to get my little plastic cup.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just going to hook that up in the microwave.
Oh, no. Well, I've got a little bit on microwave. I've got a lot on microwave. But anyway, so it stuffs up your fertility.
Right.
But they did another study and it gets worse.
Wow.
This is a Danish study. And it said perfluorinated chemicals and fetal growth. And a Danish study, and they found our nationwide cohort data suggests an inverse association with maternal plasma, PFOA, and maternal birth weight. Inverse association meaning the more of this stuff you've got, the less the birth weight of the child is.
Do we know how much you get from cooking? I mean, obviously, how long you cook for, how much Teflon, if it's new.
I think it's a forever chemical. Once it gets in, it's in.
Right.
Because this stuff's, you got to remember, you're heating this stuff up to 200-300 degrees and it's sitting there. It's not, so it doesn't break down. It's very, very hard to break down in the body. It's fat soluble, so it'll stay in your fat cells.
Wow.
And it just sits there and releases into your body.
Any way you could pull it out? What about chelation therapy?
Oh, no. Chelation therapy is for minerals. We use ethylene diaminotetracetic acid. Okay. This is organic, what they call the covalently bonded chemical.
That's not going to work?
No.
So how do you get it out?
You just don't get it in the first place. That's the worst thing. And you stop, eventually it'll break down, but you got to remember, you stop using pans.
Could be 40,000 years, those things.
Well, some of these chemicals last forever in your body, but your body won't last that long. There's something to, you'd be dead long before that. But the problem with this is that
great
this stuff is like everyone's in it. And what they found in maternal plasma levels, the average was 5.6 nanograms per mil. So you can measure it in your blood.
Wow.
This is in your blood. How much is? Depends how much you use these pans.
And this is the problem, right? There's no
regulation.
Basically, the best thing is to do is don't use it. So go get cast iron.
Yeah.
That's what Tony's using now.
Yep.
You just have to use a bit of oil, but just cook with cast iron.
And cast iron, remember, if it's just cast iron, if it's just iron is good for the body.
Yeah.
It's not a toxin for the human body. Too much of it is, you get hemochromatosis, or that's a disease, a genetic disease, but you can get too much iron in your body. But normally, the more iron you take, the less you ingest.
All right, so I've had breakfast. All right, so do you want to touch on microwaves now?
Yeah.
All right, because so you go, okay, well then screw that. I'm just going to use the microwave instead. Now, we have done a podcast with microwave.
We have done them, so I just touched on a little bit here.
Sure.
But basically, microwaves denature proteins to a way they make it much less nutrient dense.
Yep.
So it's also going to break down, because you got to remember you can superheat food in the microwave.
Sure.
You can boil food up to 100.
Yeah.
But microwaves are unlimited. You vibrate the water molecules until the food just becomes stifling hot.
What does it do to fat?
It denatures fat and causes rancidity of free radicals.
Yep.
So if you cook in the microwave, you're going to be in big trouble.
And what about if you cook in plastic?
Yeah, you get a lot of BPA released. And what we know is
you've got BPA-free plastic jars.
Oh, yeah, but there's probably other petrochemicals in there.
Sure is.
So it just goes on and on forever.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. Now, what's the answer to all this? I don't know. This is the tricky thing.
Well, the thing I really would have loved and it never took on is infrared ovens. So the Japanese, I think they're quite popular over there, because I know we live in a fast-paced, give it to me now world. Yep. And unfortunately, microwaves are a huge part of that, right? Yeah. Like, I get it. Yeah. But infrared, going back onto the stove, not using Teflon, like reheating your food on the stove, I know it's a pain in the ass, but it's probably the way to go.
It is the way to go. Just don't use aluminium pots.
No. I didn't even think about that. Okay, so cook in an aluminium.
It leaches aluminium because the acid's in there.
So you use the cast iron?
Yeah.
Use cast iron pots as well?
If you can.
Actually, you know what? I think we've got an aluminium pot at home. I didn't even think about that.
Well, you're going to die.
You always get something. Thanks, mate. There's always something, right, that you're blinded by. Yeah. All right. So we've had breakfast.
Now, a lot of people drive to work. They get in their car.
Yeah.
And it's been closed all night, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So
it's sitting outside in the sun. Now, some people are fortunate they've got a garage.
Yep.
But let's say if you don't get into your car until, say, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Or in the afternoon on the way home. It's hot.
Yeah.
So hot,
And you've got volatile gases coming off all the the new car smell?
Yeah.
What do you think that is? It's a chemical.
Yeah.
It's a chemical.
Is it good for you?
No.
Oh.
It's a petrochemical. So petrochemicals...
petrochemicals are not good?
No. They're not there's no such thing as vitamin petrochemical. Yeah. It's, what can you do about that? Nothing. So what you have to do is wind the windows down. Most people electric windows, you go, get them all down and drive off and just get just get it out of the car.
So as petrochemicals, is there anything particular? Has there been any studies done on exactly how toxic it is inside a heated up car?
No, they haven't, because you can't control for that, because everyone does it. Even if it's not heated, there's still chemicals coming off.
Yeah. And
here's let's say you get to work, because I know.
What about leather seats?
Leather seats, if they're treated with chemicals, can be problematic. But they are. I mean, what colour are they? They're not the same colour as the hide.
Black.
Yeah. Okay. It's chemical.
What about...
white's a chemical. It's just...
I'm going to start riding a bike.
It's... Yeah. And Matt's on to something.
No, he is. Matt,
everyone worries about the car in front of him with exhaust fumes, which is fair enough. Mm. But you've got to remember that if you're inside a car, you're getting exhaust fumes and the shit. Can you
give me any sort of scale here, Steve? Or it's just not known. We just don't know. We know it's not good, but we don't know how bad it is.
You don't know.
That sucks. I want the answers.
I know.
I want the truth.
It's sort of that sort of a podcast where it's like I don't know how you get away from all this stuff. I mean, sure you can, but if you filter your water, that won't work. You've got to do what you say. Get the pure water.
Filtered water's so better than nothing. Reverse osmosis and what have you.
Reverse osmosis gets minerals out, but it doesn't get organic, like non-charged particles out. It'll get aluminium fluoride out.
Yeah, and chlorine.
Yeah,
Because it's funny, like a friend opened them up and he opened it, literally smelled like it was a pool. Literally smelled like it was chlorine.
Yeah.
He goes, "This is coming out of my water."
Nice.
I said, "Yeah, but what about the pill? I mean, what about other stuff that gets back into our water table?"
The pill's a problem.
Yeah, the pill is the problem. Because it's all the estrogens, right?
Yeah, it's full of estrogens because you got to remember women pee too. I know, and they detoxify estrogen, and so do we.
Filthy animals.
And the water just goes. It doesn't break down. It takes a long time to break down. These chemicals are made to be stable. And it's a worry. You're getting all. It's like mercury buildup in the body, and
in your teeth.
Yeah, and that's there 24/7.
You're chomping on your teeth 24/7.
You are, and you're breathing the stuff in. If you swallow a filling, it won't be absorbed.
No problem.
But if you breathe when you're eating,
and you're chewing and you're grinding in the micro grinding, right?
It gets into the body.
Like the micro releases of gas.
Yeah. And they say, what about plastics? It's like, yeah, you got plastic. It's unfortunate, but there's just no
We're
great
just
option.
living in a toxic soup of radiation and chemicals and. All right, so we jumped into the car. We're weighing the windows down to get rid of the what is it? Petrochemicals?
Yeah, petrochemicals. The glues that are giving off. Now as the car gets older, less gets given off, so that's fine. The new car smell goes away. That's good.
I like the new car smell.
Everyone likes the new car smell, but it's something. It's a chemical.
Yeah,
and it's not roast beef.
No.
It's not a Yeah. But let's say you get to work. Now you can't control your work environment, but there's Wi-Fi here at work, and
yes,
all sorts of lights and there.
I was going to say, talk to me about lights. Talk to me about LED versus, what are those bar lights called? Those fluorescent lights?
Halo lights.
Yeah, halo lights, fluorescent lights. Yeah. What are they?
Well, they what you do is you excite a gas with electricity.
What is the gas called again? It
depends on
xenon?
What it is. Xenon or radon.
Yeah, radon. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
or neon is another classic lie, but it's they call it noble gas, which is
a
noble gas. Group A.
Sounds good.
Yeah, noble gases are all right.
Okay,
but what they do when you put an electric current through anything, it gives off radiation.
Right.
And so that's the problem. It's not so much the gas. In fact, you can breathe halide, these noble gases in your lungs, and you won't have any. Have you ever done that with a helium balloon?
Yeah.
Helium is a noble gas.
Right.
It doesn't react. In fact, someone got a bloody, one of those Nobel Prizes for getting one of these gases to react with something. They've got 8 electrons in the outermost shell. Helium has 2. Well, they don't react.
I've seen people that go deep down under the ocean often use helium.
Yeah.
Do they do that for the bends? Do they do that for
because it doesn't form gases in the
bloodstream, so you don't get little air pockets.
And you still use 20% oxygen too.
Yeah, right.
You just
but they sound like funny for days. Days or hours or something. They're talking and they just sound like Mickey Mouse
because it's less dense than air. Because air is nitrogen.
But when you do it with a balloon and it's like you breathe it out and then it's gone. Well, these people are still talking like that for ages. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny, and it's for deep diving because when you bends and that sort of thing. So these gases are fine. Okay. It's radiation.
So I'm sitting at my desk underneath. I mean, you haven't got to my favourite one, Steve, that I asked you for.
Oh yeah.
You better have looked at it. I'm sitting under my desk underneath my fluoro light. What's happening to me? What am I getting?
There's an electronic charge going through gas, whatever. But electronic charges, that gives off electromagnetic radiation. So in other words, if you pass a current through, say that's an electrical cord, and if you wrap that round an iron bar, that will call it to magnetize.
Right.
Because electricity gives off electromagnetic radiation. And magnetism and electricity are interchangeable. In fact, have you ever, how...
That's what Tony says to me. You're electric, baby. And I said, you're like a magnet.
Chick magnet.
Yeah, you would love that, Steve. Is that, you'd use all those in the chemistry ward?
Of course.
It'd be like...
Of course, still to this very day to pick up Beck and try and get her on side.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
How did you get her in the end anyway? It's a mystery to me.
Quick, Beck. So magnetism and electricity are the same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, if you pass a magnet over an electronic thingo, like a copper coil, it causes electricity. And that's what, if you spin magnets around a copper core, that will give electricity. That's how turbines are run. That's how electricity is produced.
Right.
You get something to spin.
Yep.
And that's what electricity is. Whether it's heating water, which is like coal fire, or anything else that just spins the magnet, like those big wind turbine things. So any sort of electricity that's around you forms a radiation.
Right.
Now, if you want to take the extreme level, if you go under those power lines. If you've ever driven along under those power lines and you're on the AM radio and it crackles out, that's electromagnetic radiation obliterating all the other frequencies.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you're sitting underneath fluoro lights,
Yeah.
Anything else other than electromagnetic pulses, I guess, that you're getting? Is
Well, it's constant radiation. And what you're not getting is sunlight.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
But does the same thing happen with what's the other type of light? Like the little dots.
LED?
LED.
No, LED is a little bit safer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's better for your eyes. LED lights has got more of the electromagnetic spectrum,
Right.
which is what our eyes, because we should be out the sun.
Yeah.
Which has got the full spectrum of light. It's got all the 7 colours in it. When you bend light, it's got all. You need that when you're in a work environment. At night, you need to block the blue out, and that's where those blue blocker sunglasses come from.
It's interesting because I look at those. These are blue blockers. I think the other ones that I've got, just because obviously when I'm working on a screen.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Blue is a higher frequency,
So
it's got more issues.
So we've got to work, but we forgot to go somewhere first.
Where do we go first? The gym?
No. Oh, of course, Steve.
Yeah.
But we're on our way to work, and we're like, you know what? I'm just going to stop through the drive-through to get my coffee. Right?
But yeah, I did look into that. And
Okay.
yes, plastic cups do give off the waxes in them are quite, you do ingest them.
So I want to know what the waxes are, but I really want to know on the top of it, the lid, the thin plastic when it superheats. So let's go, Steve. So forget what's in it.
Yeah.
So, and again,
Yeah.
we've looked at this. There's only one non-dairy, like milk is bad. Like milk, and again, listen to Scary Dairy, and we've just done another one on, milk, all milk. We've done milk, like, almond milk, macadamia nut milk. We've done all the different milks.
Sure.
And we had a look at the different ones in there, and we've broken that down in terms of, we found one milk in Australia that we actually recommend that you can use, which is not bad for you.
Yeah.
The rest of them have got things like antacids, believe it or not. And I know that I'm being a bit,
Calcium carbonate.
But have a listen to that. But Steve, outside of that, let's say you get a long black.
Yeah.
So,
You get polyvinyl chloride.
What?
Yeah.
So-
which is one of the plastics they use. Very cheap chemical.
Yeah.
Heat resistant.
And is that in the cup or is that in the lid?
Lid. Yeah.
And what does that do to you?
Well, if you heat it,
Yes.
and let's say you do,
It bloody does. Sometimes it burns
then
my tongue.
you do get some polyvinyl chloride released.
And what does that do in your body?
Well, it's an endocrine disruptor because it's an organochemical, organochloride. And organochlorides are very bad for you. Heard of chloroform?
Yes.
That's an organochloride.
Yeah.
Organo means carbon, chloride means containing chloride. So when those two are together, you get bad news.
Wow.
Yeah. There's terrible chemicals like carbon tetrachloride. It's really bad.
Carbon tetrachloride.
Yeah, that's a really bad one.
Yeah,
so
I've
the
heard
more
of that.
chlorine's quite bad. So when those two react, you get toxic stuff.
Wow.
So polyvinyl chloride, not good.
And again, you're microdosing. So you don't know how much you're getting. You don't know. I mean, if you combine these things with other things like, already, I mean, we haven't even got home yet, Steve.
Nah.
And we've literally dealing with a
You're
toxic
dead by the time you get home.
Well, this is the thing, and it would be good in some ways if that did happen, because then there'd be a change. But these things build up in the body for years.
They do.
I mean, they go undetected for years.
Absolutely.
All right, what else then?
Well, the only other things are the work. I've started looking at work toxic exposure. And there's just too many. Here it's probably way less because you can actually drink the stuff that comes out of the. But if you worked in an environment where it's very toxic, and a lot of people do, then let's say keep it simple. Let's say you're working on the side of a road and you're holding the lollipop stick. You get car exhaust going past. They're burning, sulfur-based fuels and they're petrochemicals. So you get that terrible odor coming through. If it was pure octane in our fuel tanks, you get carbon dioxide and water given off.
Yeah,
fine.
right. Yeah.
You'd be fine with that. But there's not.
Why can't we use pure octane? I mean, and use governors to reduce the speed and is it dangerous, Steve? I mean, octane is obviously pretty dangerous, right? It's explosive.
Yeah, it is highly flammable because that's the idea. You in fact,
Whereas petrol and diesel are actually not.
Well, octane, it depends on how much octane's in petrol. Usually about 91% of it is octane.
Okay.
Or 94 or 98, sometimes 98.
I mean, remember, we're talking about lead. The guy that killed more people than anybody else is the guy that put lead into petrol, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good for your cars, bad for your body.
Yeah, very bad. But they didn't know at the time, right? And this is the thing, is that people go, surely the government won't allow that. It's like, but they don't. Maybe they do know, but if they don't know, if the science not there, this is why a lot of these bad things are there. So, all right. So So what else? Is there anything else?
Well, we went into the work thing, but really the other toxic thing is psychological toxic. So stress.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's part of this podcast or not, but I looked into that and it's horrendously bad for your body.
Yeah.
It triggers all sorts of, and I think people are quite aware of that.
Well, I think the last 3 years, I think people have had enough, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like the amount of stress and the amount of just the anger, the hate, the separation of people, the lockdowns, the vilification. I mean, it's just been a horrible time. I mean, people's businesses have been failing. I mean, there's been supply chain disruptions. So, yeah, look, I think that's a completely different side of things. But, man, this is spend time with family, go watch some funny movies, take some R&R, relax, restore, rest.
And the other toxic thing was medications that people take every day. But, I mean, I'm not saying they don't go off them and they're good for things, but they can be toxic.
Yeah, and again, that's a whole nother can of worms. I don't think I'm prepared to open up. Steve-O.
Yes.
So I think we've tried to give alternatives to people to reduce a lot of these things.
Yeah.
I think some of them are just, it's going to be difficult.
It's difficult.
So in terms then of a blanket strategy, try to remove as many of these things as possible.
Yeah.
Certainly start with the water, potentially go away out into the bush, and walk in some greenery and de-stress. Yep. I think that's going to help. Antioxidants and using powerful compounds to help your body to combat these things. What would you recommend, Steve?
Polyphenol, because it's an NRF2 activator, which activates your detoxification genes.
Right.
So any sort of polyphenol, so plant-rich foods, coloured foods, all those sort of things.
Yep.
Now, minimise your exposure.
Sure.
You know, look at Teflon pans.
Change them out to cast iron.
Yeah. Do you need creams in the morning? Everyone's going to go, yeah. But you may want to do what I do and use soap on my hair.
But find something else as well too, Steve.
Yeah.
If you want to use creams, maybe have a look and see if people are out there that have got things that are better for you. You know, the microplastics thing, that really bugs me.
Shocking, isn't it? 87%.
Bugs me.
Yeah. It's like they're just there. They're just everywhere. They're in the environment. Probably in the water system.
Oh, they'd be in the water table now.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
So it's not all doom and gloom, Steve. We've got to give people hope.
Well, we still live till about 80, so that's all right. That's pretty good. Better than what it was a couple hundred years ago.
Mm.
So, things are going along, but you've just got to control what you can control. There are things that I've mentioned today that you can't avoid.
Yeah.
Like water, for example. You may not have access to
Mount Tambourine water.
Yeah.
God bless those guys, they're saints. But yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But if you can, try and get a natural spring source of water. I appreciate it, man. I mean, people are under financial strain at the moment. So, I mean, like all these things cost money.
Sure they do.
It's the same as eating organic, eating fresh, eating local. These things are good because typically they're full of polyphenols and they also don't have the herbicides and the pesticides that a lot of the other things do have, right?
Yeah.
So it's a combination. You can't be perfect. No one can ever be perfect. But if you start taking a few of these steps and go get a natural toothpaste, go get natural shampoos and conditioners, things that don't load up on lots of toxins. I mean, I'd love to do so. Steve, you're a chemist. We should freaking do some of these things.
Yeah, there's simple things you can do. Like, let's say you are using a deodorant, which is full of aluminium chlorohydrate.
Well, specifically antiperspirants.
Yeah.
Steve, we didn't even mention deodorants.
So much to mention. But let's say you're
That's
doing
a big one. But I think we should pause and we should mention this one.
Okay.
Because I use a natural deodorant,
sure.
which my son uses like these creams. They literally look like sun cream, and he puts them under his arms.
Okay.
And he needs to use dab, and it lasts normally a couple of days. It's really good.
Wow.
I use one that's very grainy.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell terrible. It's not horrible, but it's all natural. There's no sodium lauryl sulfate. There's no aluminium. This is the one with antiperspirants. Use a deodorant. Don't use an antiperspirant. We're supposed to perspire. Using an antiperspirant, one of the worst things that you can do. Because what does it do, Steve? Like, tell people what an antiperspirant does.
Firstly, antiperspirant with aluminium chlorohydrate is very bad. They say it doesn't go through the skin very much, and it doesn't. But a lot of people, when they're putting this on, breathe, and they ingest it through their lungs. So that's a very dangerous way to get aluminium in your body. Yeah. So if you're going to use antiperspirant, don't. But if you're going to, don't breathe. Put it on, then walk out of the room and then breathe. I know it sounds like a silly thing to do,
but not only that, Steve, in terms of breathing in, which I know is terrible, right? But also the fact that it's on your skin, you're supposed to perspire.
Yes.
You're supposed to,
yes.
right? It's blocking up the pores. It's blocking up the ducts.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, in terms of causing, issues there as well too, Steve.
And it's the microbes that cause the smell. So if you really want to get rid of the smell, you can use natural, like essential oils.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tea tree or something like that.
Yep.
It smells good too.
Yeah.
So that's a way around that one. But it's difficult.
Steve, I'm feeling a bit flat.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit flat. I mean, just minimise your exposure to this stuff as best you can and try and detoxify yourself by having polyphenol-rich foods. There's not much more you can say. There's no magic solution here.
Unless you're going to go and live literally out in the middle of whoop-whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
Out on the farm somewhere and sort of, live off the grid and drink spring water and...
Yeah, I mean, that's the answer, but it's not realistic for 99.9% of people.
No.
And even then, out bush, I mean, gee, they've got 5G.
Well,
4G.
I'm looking at Elon Musk with these little Starlink satellites going above us. Anyway,
scares up. Anyway,
Steve,
I've down at everybody, but that's a day in the toxic life. It's not like beer and Skittles podcast. We have to be honest with people.
Well, hopefully that's given you at least some things that you can look at specifically around your children as well too. Sure. Guys, again, please, if you've got any questions, add in a comment, like, share and subscribe to this podcast. We really, really appreciate it if you're listening on YouTube. Of course, if you're listening to us on Spotify or any of the other platforms, please just, drop in a comment or send a like. That'd be great. Right. Anyway, thanks, guys, and we'll be back with more.
See you next week.
With more next week.